In this video, we will explore the concept of national debt, which refers to the amount of money a government owes to its creditors. Many countries around the world have large national debts, and this topic has become increasingly relevant in recent years as governments continue to borrow money to fund their operations. Understanding how national debt works is crucial for making informed decisions about economic policy. And in this video, we will cover the basics of national debt, including its causes, consequences, and potential solutions. Whether you are a student, a policymaker, or simply curious about how the economy works, this video will provide a valuable introduction to one of the most important concepts in modern economics. What is national debt? The phrase national debt pertains to the unpaid financial responsibilities of a nation, which may be referred to as federal debt, government debt, or public debt. It encompasses the monetary obligations that the United States government owes to its creditors, including both the debt held by the public and federal government trust funds. As of October 2022, the national debt of the United States reached an unprecedented $31.1 trillion. Understanding national debt. While the nominal value of a country's national debt in dollars is frequently cited, it is generally considered less significant than its debt-to-GDP ratio. This is because as a country's economy expands, its tax base also increases, generating additional revenue that can be utilized by the government to repay its debt. Furthermore, economic growth often stimulates demand for government bonds. As households and corporations increase their savings, they seek out safe and secure investments, such as debt securities that are expected to retain their value over time. As a result, public borrowing can help meet this demand and provide a source of safe assets. Classifications of national debt. There are various ways to classify national debt, including by issuer, maturity, method of repayment, and holder. 1. Issuer. The issuer of national debt can vary from federal to municipal levels of government, with the risk profile of the debt dependent on the issuer. Provincial and municipal debt is generally considered riskier than federal debt. 2. Maturity. The maturity of national debt can also differ, with longer maturities being common. The yield on 10-year federal government bonds is often regarded as the prevailing risk-free rate. 3. Method of repayment. Repayment of national debt can come from various sources, such as taxes or tolls, depending on the intended use of the funds. 4. Holder. Additionally, national debt can be held by either citizens or foreigners, with differences in currency adding an element of foreign currency risk. Debt held by citizens is typically denominated in the local currency and carries a lower risk of default compared to debt held by foreigners. Causes of national debt. Governments can accumulate budget deficits when their spending exceeds their revenue. This can occur when policymakers create budgets based on revenue estimates that are often inaccurate, and when their priority is to maintain or increase funding for their constituents in order to secure re-election. In contrast, cutting funding or raising taxes is often viewed negatively by voters and can harm a politician's chances of being re-elected. As a result, government spending tends to be higher than revenue, leading to persistent budget deficits and the accumulation of national debt over time. Economic policy consequences. The utilization of national debt carries significant consequences for economic policymaking, and there are two main arguments that shape its impact on the economy. Firstly, the concept of Ricardian equivalence suggests that the use of debt or taxes to meet the financing needs of the government is equivalent. If people understand that the use of debt today will result in higher taxes in the future, then there is no difference between using debt or taxes. However, the extent to which individuals comprehend this concept remains unclear, making it difficult to determine the appropriate balance between debt and taxes. Secondly, the crowding out effect highlights the consequences of increased government spending using debt. This argument contends that when the government issues more debt, it uses up monetary resources that could have been utilized for private investment. This increased demand for credit can drive up interest rates, reducing private sector investment and ultimately hindering economic growth. As a result, there is a risk that the use of debt may have adverse effects on the economy. National debt measures and statistics. Organizations such as the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the Federal Reserve rely on various metrics to measure national debt. Some of the commonly used measures include: one such measure is central government debt, which represents the total debt issued by the central government of a country. It can be presented as an absolute value or as a percentage of the gross domestic product, GDP. Another measure is general government debt, which encompasses the debt issued by all levels of government, including provincial and municipal debt. Non-financial public sector debt represents the debt held by non-financial public sector corporations, which is often guaranteed or perceived to be guaranteed by the government. Lastly, financial public sector debt refers to the debt issued by government-owned financial institutions, such as public sector banks. These measures serve as critical indicators for assessing the level and impact of national debt. Instruments and mechanics of national debt. National debt is primarily issued using two financial instruments, namely bonds and loans. Government bonds are issued in the local currency through the central bank, which auctions them to the public via selected financial institutions. Loans, on the other hand, are extended by commercial banks as syndicated loans to national governments. The settlement of national debt is administered by the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, which provides the rules and regulations for the process. However, in the event of a default, the rules are not clearly defined and are dealt with using laws of default specific to each country. When a government is unable to service its debt, it may be restructured, and certain restrictions may be placed on government expenditures to ensure that it can continue to function. In conclusion, national debt is a complex topic that affects not only the government but also the economy and citizens of a nation. As we have seen, it can be both a tool for economic growth and a cause for concern if not managed properly. It is important to understand the different measures, instruments, and mechanics of national debt to make informed decisions about economic policies and government spending. We hope this article has shed some light on the workings of national debt and its impact on the economy. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter for more informative articles and updates. Thank you for reading.